Coming up on Network Africa, Nigeria and Turkey signed several bilateral agreements during President Bola Tinubu's visit to Ankara. The world marks Global Privacy Day 2026 with the theme, Take Control of Your Data. Plus, Rwanda says the UK owes £100 million over scrapped asylum deal. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of the Republic of Turkey has promised to assist Nigeria in its fight against terrorism, given his country's history in tackling insurgency. President Erdogan stated this at a joint press briefing with President Bola Tinubu in the course of his state visit to the country. The Turkish president also reaffirmed his country's commitment to a $5 billion trade volume target with Nigeria. Both countries signed 9 bilateral agreements. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lassisi, reports.
President Bola Tinubu arriving for the official reception parade for his state visit to Turkey. He's welcomed by the host president and led to inspect a guard of honor. The two presidents then make their way into the presidential complex for bilateral talks. Next is the signing of MOUs and bilateral agreements, which is witnessed by both presidents in key sectors such as defense, trade, education, media, diplomacy, and social development.
Minister of Women Affairs, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, will be exchanging memorandum of understanding on
effort at terrorism, and discuss how we could defeat elements of destabilization, banditry, and horror. We will work together to achieve that.
Terrorist organizations emerging, particularly in Africa's Sahel region, unfortunately pose a threat to the peace of the entire continent. We stand by the friendly people of Nigeria in their fight against terrorism under the leadership of President Tinubu. In fact, today, we addressed opportunities for closer cooperation in the fields of military training and intelligence. We stated that we are ready to share our country's significant experience in the fight against terrorism.
According to the presidency, this visit aims to consolidate the long-standing cordial relations between the two countries and exploring new areas of cooperation and unlocking new opportunities for mutual growth. Lanre Lassisi, Channels Television News.
As the world marks the Global Privacy Day 2026, Nigeria is under increasing pressure to strengthen the protection of personal data in a rapidly expanding digital economy. From financial services to telecommunications and government platforms, concerns over data breaches, weak compliance, and low public awareness have raised questions about the safety of data of Nigerians. In Abuja, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission held a press conference to address these concerns and outline the way forward. Our correspondent, Sunas Nathaniel, reports.
As digital services become deeply embedded in everyday life, the protection of personal data has emerged as a critical national issue.
The NDPC and all stakeholders.
Global Privacy Day 2026 comes at a time when Nigeria is grappling with rising cases of data misuse, from unsolicited marketing to major data breaches involving both private and public institutions.
Data protection, the need for
The NDPC commissioner emphasized that data privacy is a fundamental right, not a privilege, stressing the Commission's commitment to strengthening enforcement, improving compliance, and building public trust in the digital space.
In addition to that, we're going to have a webinar, and there's going to be a roadshow tomorrow, moving from the Federal Secretariat to the Unity Fountain, to talk to people about data privacy and protection. There'll be some TV appearances also to educate Nigerians about the need for data privacy and protection.
Despite regulatory frameworks, awareness remains a major challenge. Many Nigerians are still unaware of their rights to consent, data access, and redress, a gap that continues to undermine accountability.
For his opening remarks, and as he reels out statistics, welcome, Honorable Minister.
Speaking on the broader implications, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, links data privacy to trust in the digital economy, noting that without strong data protection, Nigeria's ambitions for digital transformation and innovation could be severely undermined.
Let me say clearly, the success of Nigeria's digital economy will rest not only on infrastructure and talent, but also on trust. And I want everyone to believe this. So NDPC, the work you do is not just something that is in silo. Our sector will not be successful if you're not successful.
As Nigeria marks Global Privacy Day 2026, the message from regulators and policymakers is clear. Data protection must move from policy to practice. For a digital economy built on trust, safeguarding personal data is no longer optional. It is essential. Sunest Nathaniel, Channels Television News.
Let's get more on this. Joining us now is cybersecurity expert and member of the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria, Abiola Agunbiade. A pleasure having you on the program. Thank you for your time.
I can't hear anything.
Abiola, can you hear me? We'll get back to her in a bit to tell us more about the...
Okay, I can hear you clearly now.
Right, thank you. I said a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Right, let's just get into it. Nigeria and many African countries are rapidly digitizing. Why is data privacy especially critical for Africa at this stage of our digital growth?
Yeah, thank you very much. Data privacy is very critical for Africa right now because, you know, Nigeria is digitalizing very fast, as you said, and Nigeria is one of the continents where millions of people are coming online for the very first time with their mobile phones, on fintech platforms, digital IDs, even on government portals like their BVN and INN to actually register. So we're seeing an explosive growth in this regard. So there's a lot of challenge in that this data subject, the people that are actually citizens that are putting their PII onto the system, we're seeing situations whereby there's misuse by controllers and processors, making it essentially that the data are not well safeguarded across Africa. The confidentiality of this data, integrity, the availability of this data, and also the trusted digital transformation of Africa. So we're seeing this kind of weakness among the things that we use. Luckily, there's NDPC now enforcing that controllers and processors safeguard this data. Anyone going beyond this have been fined. We've had situations where multi-choice got fined, metadata also got fined. So this is a signal that Africa, and Nigeria especially, is becoming matured in terms of compliance. We're seeing whereby we're having trained DPOs, data protection officers, and we're seeing a lot of situations whereby this compliance reports are also being filed in Nigeria generally. So Africa data is also extremely valuable. We need to know that because, as they say, data is the new oil. So the data is used for a lot of things. It's used for optimization and all that. So we need to be very careful as a country and also as a continent and ensure that our data that is being extracted, they are being processed, that Nigeria and also the continent safeguard this data, essentially. Thank you.
And with the Nigeria Data Protection Act now in place. How well prepared do you think Nigerian organizations are to see it through?
Yeah, that's a big milestone for Nigeria. The data protection of 2023 is a major milestone. We moved from just policy to full legislation like a lot of African countries. So this preparedness, we're seeing it in many organizations, and then we see some that are not well prepared as well. Some organizations still lack DPOs. They don't have annual compliance reports in place to make them global standard and even African standard like countries like Kenya and South Africa. So the NDPA also has begun to mandate controllers and processors to implement digital security that will encourage on-site, on-rest and on-transit MFA. That will ensure that people that use this data, they are being processed according to this Data Protection Act. NDPC also has put in place actions and fines so that penalties are taken into consideration. Even banks and digital platforms, they're they're actually being fined for this. So that's one of the things this act has actually brought into fruition. There's a growing data protection compliance organization also. The ecosystem has strengthened compliance support, enabling data protection impact assessment. And then there's a bridge, the bridge reporting and improving Nigerian standing with Africa data protection landscape. Regionally, Nigeria as a whole is now becoming one of the leaders in data protection alongside countries like South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, and all that. So the NDPA has really strengthened Nigeria across border data transfer. We're seeing international business outsourcing also. Then we have the African Continent Free Trade Area also. The framework is also looking at Nigeria as a country that is data compliant. However, we need to also know that enforcement is the real test of this. Even as the act has come out, these laws are there, but we need to make sure that implementation takes place. So enforcement is actually the key, even with the data protection law.
Right, and across Africa, if we can get back to the continent as a whole, we see rising cybercrime targeting mobile banking, fintech, and digital identity systems. You mentioned NIN and BVN and all the others when you started speaking a couple of minutes ago. What data privacy risks should governments and businesses be most concerned about?
For government, basically, government stand a risk of a large digital breach because we have the BVN and we have the NIN. Then we have mobile banks and also financial tech systems also. They need to also be careful of identity theft, SIM swap, frauds, and all that. So the government stand a risk of mass data subject exposure through weak digital ID system, making confidentiality, integrity, and availability of this data. They need to ensure that the control is essential and it stands national resilience. They also need to ensure that there's good subject access request also for private organization. NDPC also has ensured that across Nigeria and Nigeria generally, the government needs to ensure that they must worry about the national scale of data breach in terms of our yes, in terms of our NIN, basically. And then business organizations will also need to worry about regulation penalties also, lawsuits that might arise from any data breach, and also reputational damage that might happen to their organization. And then customers can also lose confidence in their business. So those are the things they need to put at the back of their mind.
Right, and as we mark the Data Privacy Week, what is your key message to Nigerians and, of course, Africans about protecting their personal data?
For me, I would like to pass the message across that, your personal data is very valuable. Every time you share your phone number, ID, anything personal to you, your biometric data, your location, you're giving away your identity. So you need to ask yourself this question often: why is this data needed? How will it be used? Who is accessing my data? In that form, then you can now take control of your data. And then you need to also know your rights based on this new NDPA 2023 Act. you need to know your right under these rights, that you have the right to be informed of what your data will be used for, the right for access, the right of erasure, and all that. As Nigerians, we need to also know that our digital footprint is important. I mean, there's every hard to put your picture, your next holiday online, but you need to know that as you do all this, that there are people looking how to take those information and use it for fraudulent purposes. So we need to be careful how we put out our digital footprint out there. So Nigerians need to use strong passwords. They need to beware of phishing messages and all that. And it's also important for Nigerians to know that they need to report every single fraud, no matter how little it is. There's the NCCC there for them to report to. The way this reporting would also help us to fight against cybercrime.
Right. I must thank you for being a part of the program today, Abiola Agunbiade. Thank you for your time.
Much. Thank you for having me.
Elsewhere, police have detained several protesters during a march in Benin to mark 1 year since the occupation of Goma by the M23 group and honor the victims of the conflict. Many were apprehended as they marched through the city. The march participants insisted that it was a peaceful and non-violent demonstration to denounce ongoing violence in eastern DRC and call for stronger protection for civilians. Fighting has continued across eastern areas of the Democratic Republic of Congo, despite a ceasefire brokered by the United States and a parallel economic agreement between the two countries. Kinshasa has accused Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group, an allegation Kigali has repeatedly denied. As co-hosts of the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, that's the 2026 UNWC, the UAE and the Republic of Senegal convened the high-level preparatory meeting in Dakar from 26 to 27 January. The meeting marked a key milestone in the preparatory process, bringing together for the first time the 12 recently appointed co-chair countries of the 6 interactive dialogues. The Dakar preparatory meeting was opened by the President of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, bringing together ministers and high-level government officials, senior representatives from the United Nations and other international and regional organizations, including the African Union Commissioner, international financial institutions, civil society, the private sector, as well as youth and other key stakeholders to strengthen political momentum and advance collective efforts to accelerate commitments and actions on water. Let's get more on this. Joining us is a UN SDG advocate attending the Dakar meeting to unpack what's at stake for the continent. Dr. Ero Ibafidon is the founder, Water Light Save Initiative. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me today.
Right. So you're attending the high-level meeting in Dakar ahead of the 2026 Water Conference. For viewers who may not be familiar with this process, what's the significance of this meeting?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Dakar high-level plenary meeting is very crucial. It's actually a good step to shaping the 2026 Water Conference, which will be holding in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, to be precise. This gathering where we have world leaders gathered here, UN agencies and other development partners coming in to help in strengthening what should be expected at the Water Conference. What should the world expect? What should they look out for? And what are the corrective measures also to help tackle water scarcity in the future? So yeah, I would say this will actually help in strengthening the conference coming up in December in Dubai.
Right, and what are the key aims of this Dakar meeting, and what concrete outcomes are participants hoping to secure?
Yeah, I would say the meetings actually they aim to secure like a clear commitment from stakeholders on financing and accountability and scalable solutions for accelerated water programs and clean water sanitations. Dakar set the foundations, and we believe that this is, like I said, is a good way to prepare for the 2026 water conference in Abu Dhabi. So basically, it's just mainly for more accountability sake, and they are actually also calling for more multilateralism from government stakeholders and partners in the water sector as well.
Right, Dr. Ibafina, apologies. I must stop you there. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Elsewhere, Rwanda has filed an arbitration case against the United Kingdom, saying it owed more than $130 million as part of a cancelled asylum scheme. In a submission to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, the East African nation says Britain has breached the terms of the migration partnership agreed in 2022. Under the controversial deal, London would pay Kigali to accept asylum seekers and immigrants who arrived in Britain illegally. Introduced by the Conservative government of current Prime Minister Keir Starmer, scrapped the plan when he took office in 2024. Kigali says it agreed to forgo further payments if the treaty was terminated and new financial terms were agreed. But according to Rwanda's filing at the Court of Arbitration, those discussions never took place. Britain is also accused of reneging a promise to resettle vulnerable refugees with complex needs already being hosted by Rwanda. iShowSpeed, one of the world's most popular content creators, is set to receive a Ghanaian passport following his highly anticipated trip to the West African nation. Ghana was the penultimate stop on the U.S. influencer's live-streamed 20-country tour of Africa, which wrapped up on Tuesday. Following iShowSpeed's visit, Ghana's foreign minister announced that his office had approved a passport for the YouTuber, who he called a worthy ambassador. Foreign Minister Samuel Okuzeto Blakwa says that his Ghanaian passport was approved following confirmation of the irrefutable ties of iShowSpeed to Ghana. The Speed Does Africa tour has been watched around the world, with many praising it for helping to break stereotypes about the continent and showcasing numerous African cultures to the world. Age 21, iShowSpeed, whose real name is Darren Watkins Jr., has more than 50 million YouTube subscribers, with his Africa tour contributing to the growth of his platform. And as we end the program, did you know about key aspects of ancient Egyptian life and culture? Both men and women wore heavy makeup, including kohl eyeliner, believed to protect the eyes from the sun. Wigs were popular among the wealthy to protect them from lice and sun. Ancient Egyptians invented early toothpaste made of ox hooves, ashes, and eggshells, and used breath mints. As for diet, bread was a staple, sometimes kneaded with wheat. Beer was a common drink for children as well as adults. That's Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Joker Rogers.